Is it on? Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I would like to invite you to have a couple of still moments during this open piece of music as we get ready to think about relationships and how to be our best selves as we hear from Marty. This is a piece of music that I just found in a book of Japanese anime music, which my students introduced me to, and I found that I really like it. And it has a title that makes no sense to me because I haven't seen the movie. I just like the music.
Thank you, Brenda. That was awesome.
First time playing jazz.
Yes. Good morning, friends. If this is your first time here or your 101st time here, we're so glad. If you carry the weight of a weary world on your shoulders, or you entered through the doors with a song in your heart, we're glad you're here. If you're the loudest voice on the town square or the subtle hand behind the scenes, we're glad you're here. If you are a visitor and just checking us out, we're so glad. We're so glad you're here. This community is what it is because of your presence in it. You belong and have an important place here. So welcome. Welcome into this hour of love, support, justice, compassion, and fellowship. We are glad you're here. My name is Reverend Renee Jansky, and I'm your music director and soon-to-be associate minister here at UUFF. If you're interested in getting involved with any of our awesome programs, please reach out to me or anyone in leadership today. Unitarian Universalism is a pluralist religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and believes that there are many paths to goodness. We uphold the beauty of our interconnections to each other, to the earth, and to the universe in which we exist. You choose to affirm love and hope as we journey together in community. And so we welcome you, whoever you are in this moment, and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. We're so glad you've chosen to be with us today. Don't hesitate to ask the greeters or ushers for assistance if you have any questions or need hearing assistance or would like to fill out a visitor's card. If you have joys or concerns you wish to share, you are welcome to fill out a yellow card for our staff and care team. You can find one in the seat back in front of you, and you will have an opportunity to bring those forward later in the service. Facebook friends, if you have a joy or concern that you would like to share, you may go ahead and type those into the chat whenever you're ready, and they'll also be read aloud during joys and concerns. And we're so glad that you are here. Let us move into today's service with a heart of learning, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and opening to connection in all its forms. Marty?
Thank you, Renee. I'm going to do a reading from a book called The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. Came out in 1923, and it tells the story of a prophet who comes out to the beach and gives talks to the people who are there, to a crowd that assembles. And some of the talks are about marriage or children, work, joy and sorrow, freedom, self-knowledge. It's an interesting book. The one I'm going to read today is called Love. Then said El Mitra, "Speak to us of love." And he raised his head and looked upon the people, and there fell a stillness upon them. And with a great voice he said, "When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, he is for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderest branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked. He sifts you to free you from your husks. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you are pliant, and then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. But if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world, where you shall laugh, but not all of your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Love gives naught but itself, and takes naught but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather, I am in the heart of God. And think not that you could direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires: to melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night, to know the pain of too much tenderness, to be wounded by your own understanding of love, and to bleed willingly and joyfully, to wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving, to rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy, to return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips.
Thank you, Marty, for reminding me of the prophet. I think it might be time for me to go back and reread that book. Thank you. Would you follow with me and let's think about, and I'm going to say slowly, read these words together. Love is the spirit of this community, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in truth, and to help one another. Thus do we covenant together. And now to light it. Thank you.
Thanks, Annette. Would you rise as you're able in body or spirit? We're going to sing hymn 354, and it's not one we sing a lot, so if you care to follow along, it's in this one, number 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
coming from all the way in the back. All right, our story for all ages today is called The Three Questions, and it's based off of a story by Leo Tolstoy. There was once a boy named Nikolai who sometimes felt uncertain about the right way to act. I want to be a good person, he told his friends, but I don't always know the best way to do that. Nikolai's friends understood and they wanted to help him. If only I could find the answers to my 3 questions, Nikolai continued, then I would always know what to do. What is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? What is the right thing to do? Nikolai's friends considered his first question. Then Sonia, the heron, spoke. To know the best time to do things, one must plan in advance, she said. Gogol, the monkey, who had been rooting through some leaves to find something good to eat, said, You will know when to do things if you watch and pay close attention. Then Pushkin, the dog, who was just dozing off, rolled over and said, You can't pay attention to everything yourself. You need a pack to keep watch and help you decide when to do things. For example, Gogol, a coconut is about to fall on your head. Nikolai thought for a moment. Then he asked his second question. Who is the most important one? Those who are closest to heaven, said Sonia, circling up into the sky. Those who know how to heal the sick, said Gogol, stroking his bruised head. Those who make the rules, growled Pushkin. Nikolai thought some more. Then he asked the third question. What is the right thing to do? Flying, said Sonia. Having fun all the time, laughed Gogol. Fighting, barked Pushkin right away. Then the boy thought for a long while. He loved his friends. He knew they were all trying their best to help him answer his questions, but their answers didn't seem quite right. Then an idea came to him. I know, he thought. I will ask Leo the turtle. He has lived a very long time. Surely he will know the answers I'm looking for. Nikolai hiked high up into the mountains where the old turtle lived all alone. When Nikolai arrived, he found Leo digging a garden. The turtle was old, and digging was hard for him. I have 3 questions, and I came to ask your help, Nikolai said. When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? And what is the right thing to do? Leo listened carefully, but he only smiled. Then he went on with his digging. You must be tired, Nikolai said at last. Let me help you. The turtle gave him his shovel and thanked him. And because it was easier for a young boy to dig than it was for an old turtle, Nikolai kept on digging until the rows were finished. But just as he finished, the wind blew wildly and rain burst from darkened clouds, and they moved toward the cottage for shelter. Nikolai suddenly heard a cry for help. Running down the path, he found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. Carefully, Nikolai carried her into Leo's house and made a splint for her leg with a stick of bamboo. The storm raged on, banging at the doors and windows. The panda woke up. Where am I, she said, and where is my child? The boy ran out of the cottage and down the path. The roar of the storm was deafening. Pushing against the howling wind and drenching rain, he ran farther into the forest. There he found the panda's child, cold and shivering on the ground. The little panda was wet and scared, but alive. Nikolai carried her inside and made her warm and dry, and then he laid her in her mother's arms. Leo smiled when he saw what the boy had done. The next morning, the sun was warm, birds sang, and all was well with the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikolai for saving her and her baby from the storm. At that moment, Sonia, Gogol, and Pushkin arrived to make sure everyone was all right. Nikolai felt great peace within himself. He had wonderful friends, and he had saved the panda and her child, but he also felt disappointed. He still had not found the answers to his 3 questions, so he asked Leo one more time. The old turtle looked at the boy. "But your questions have been answered," he said. "They have?" asked the boy. "Yesterday, if you had not stayed to help me dig my garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cries for help in the storm. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent digging in the garden. The most important one at that moment was me, and the most important thing to do was to help me with my garden. Later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you spent mending her leg and saving her child. The most important ones were the panda and her baby, and the most important thing to do was to take care of them and make them safe. Remember, then, that there is only one important time, and that time is now. The most important one is always the one that you are with, and the most important thing to do for the one who is standing at your, and the most important thing to do is to do good for the one who is standing at your side. For these, my dear boy, are the answers to what is most important in this world. This is why we are here."
Friends, it is time for our ritual of joys and concerns. And what we are about to do is the same thing that thousands of other UUs across the globe are doing this Sunday morning, dropping stones in water. I love that global connection. All the ripples from our stones in the water mingling with the ripples of other communities. So if you filled out a yellow card, now is the time to bring it up and drop a stone into the water. And all are welcome to participate in the dropping of stones. You don't have to share a card. You can just drop a stone. Friends, you may come forward. Brenda, will you offer us some music? Here in this space, we are gathered to be together today. Here we are gathered, called to be in community together, like a family, our UUFF family. Here we have gathered to remind ourselves of joys and goodness and to hold space for each other through the hard stuff. And I know that some of us have unnamed sorrows. Leanda, will you drop a stone for the unnamed sorrows today? To those who are suffering, we see and hear you, and we are with you. May we pause and take a few breaths and hold gently the concerns, named and unnamed, that are gathered in this room today. Breathe with me. And in the complexities of community, it is right that in this space, some come with joy bubbling in their heart. Fawn says it's my mom's birthday, and she's my only remaining parent, and I treasure her more than ever. Melly says it's a joy to know that I have the support and means to leave my job and toxic supervisor. Deep sorrow that it was necessary, but more joy that I know myself enough to make the choice. Yes. Rebecca also shares the joy of rain. Taryn shares, so grateful for this incredible, brave community. Today will be our last service, and we will miss you all as we relocate to Spain. Thank you for creating this space together. We'll miss you, Taryn. Lynn's White shares a joy that Mom and I get to go to Quitman, Arkansas for a visit. Quitman's her hometown. That's awesome. And Lee shares that she's excited to share that she will be a grandmother for the first time. My oldest daughter and her husband are expecting their first child in December. We rejoice with you so much, Lee. Leanda, will you drop a stone for the unnamed joys that folks are holding in their hearts? May we pause and take a couple of breaths, rejoicing together, remembering the wisdom that says joys are multiplied when shared. Breathe with me. Here in this space, we are called to weave the web of community. Let's remember these shared joys and concerns and hold our community in our hearts this week. Thank you. Friends, it is time for our offering. For me, giving to UUFF is a spiritual practice. It isn't just good for the church or for our congregational needs. That spiritual practice is really good for me because we give to remind ourselves that we have many gifts to offer, and we give to remember that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves. And we give because we believe in meaningful Sunday services and music and ritual and justice and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Let there be an offering for UUFF. Brenda.
45 years ago, today, June 4th, 1978, at about this time, I was putting on my tuxedo jacket and discovering that the guy who measured me measured wrong. My sleeve length was 32 inches. He measured 30. He thought he was right. He insisted. And I was putting on my tuxedo because at 1:30, I was getting married. Dr. Ron Hammerly, Sarah's brother-in-law, and an ordained Unitarian minister, the first Unitarian I'd ever seen in real life, read the first reading we did today on love. The Presbyterian minister of Sarah's church, Reverend Gary Huffman, delivered a homily. He said, a successful marriage requires not just finding the right person, but being the right person. I altered the title for today's talk. I added most of the time for obvious reasons. I was nervous on that day, not because I had any doubt I'd found the right person. I worried about being the right person. My nervousness led me to forget part of the vows, even though I'd written them myself, which, now that I think about it, not completing my vows, are we even legally married? Anyway, it was the last time I spoke without notes to a crowd. Being the right person most of the time is necessary for the success of any long-term relationship or partnership or friendships or memberships. Once we connect, we have to take responsibility to be right for those people. I have been blessed with many long-term relationships. There's Sarah, and then later this afternoon, we will have a Zoom call with friends that we have known for 45 years. We've been doing this for every month since COVID hit. Some of those people attended our wedding. Then we have this place where next year we will celebrate our 30-year membership. Betty Lou Arden, we've had a 30-year relationship. Today, I don't want to focus just on marriage, but on all of our relationships. Relationships are hard, probably the hardest thing we ever do. Gibran writes that close, loving relationships crucify us, prune us, shake us to our roots, tear off our husks, grind us, all to reveal the secrets of our hearts. And why? To become a fragment of life's heart, to be alive. Humans are relationship-forming creatures. From our first breath to our last, we are trying to create and understand relationships. We start off trying to decide between trust and mistrust. Is this world a safe place? Are the people here going to take care of me? Will they provide for my needs? Is it dangerous or is it unpredictable? We form connections and then networks of connections, sometimes with people and sometimes with objects like security blankets or teddy bears. As I look around, I see that many people here have a special relationship with their cell phones. In the movie Castaway, Tom Hanks developed a relationship with a volleyball he named Wilson. We have a drive to connect with whatever is possible. Not everyone is able to grow up with good relationships for a variety of reasons. It could be a lack of access. I know somebody here in Fayetteville that never saw a person to whom they were not related until they were 5. And when they went to kindergarten, it was terrifying. It could be an unstable home with frequent moves. Medical or psychological impairments could be involved. Abuse and neglect are far too common. Modern life seems to conspire against long-term relationships. The number of Americans without a single close friend has quadrupled since 1990. The pandemic and the rise of social media didn't help, but we were already living in an era of radical individual freedom, with tendencies to take slights personally, conserve our energy, and let relationships wither and die. And let's face it, relationships can be exhausting. Interacting takes work. We have to act a certain way, wear certain clothes, tolerate opinions, wrong, and listen to stories, boring. So why do we do it? What's the payoff? What are the practical benefits of relationships? Whether we are talking about marriages or friendships, long-term relationships help us to live longer. It improves our physical and mental health. We can achieve goals more easily with someone who has the same goals. They validate who we are. They support and encourage us to be our best. We can learn new skills. We can give and get support. We can cope with challenging situations. We feel safer and less vulnerable. We share experiences and adventures. We can learn to compromise, make sacrifices, communicate better, be held accountable, focus on something other than ourselves. We grow and discover who we are. Relationships don't always go well. They invariably bring rejection, loneliness, and loss. Rejection is common but painful. We get turned down and told no by dates, employers, friends, spouses, neighbors, and family. Because it's so common, we tend to underestimate the impact of rejection. Rejection can affect how we think. It could trigger our anger. It can erode our confidence and self-esteem and make us think we don't belong. There's a psychological experiment. There are always psychological experiments, right? Where there are three strangers in a waiting room. They start to toss a ball back and forth to each other. But actually, two are in on the experiment. And after a few tosses, they only toss to each other. They don't toss to that third person over there, okay? Although it seems silly, why should anyone care? You're in a room with strangers waiting for something. It almost universally leaves the third person more frustrated, more demoralized, and lower self-esteem than just an hour before they started. We do this experiment here every week during coffee hour. I don't know if you realize that. We talk to some people, we ignore other people. There are people who leave here every week feeling rejected. It shouldn't be that way. Rejection matters because we are social animals. We can't survive without other people. It's a biological need that does not respond to reason, logic, or common sense. Oh, don't worry about it. That doesn't reduce our pain. And while minor rejection has an impact, severe and repeated rejection can lead to aggression. Almost all serial killers have been repeatedly rejected. When others reject us, we reject ourselves. We take it personally, even when it isn't. We assume we could have done something to prevent the rejection. We overgeneralize to think we will always be rejected. Our need for relationships can also lead to loneliness. Loneliness is the feeling that we are socially or emotionally isolated. It doesn't matter if we're around other people or not. There are probably people in here right now who feel lonely. The quality of the social contact is more important than the quantity. Dr. Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, released an advisory in April, just a couple months ago, addressing the epidemic of loneliness and isolation affecting the country. Loneliness is linked to sleep problems, inflammation, changes in your immune system, pain, depression, anxiety, shorter lifespan, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, addiction, suicidality, self-harm, dementia, all from being lonely. Okay? Lonely people are physically in a chronic distress state. Their body feels like they are under stress. When lonely, we become overly critical of ourselves and others. We feel shame for being lonely. We try to protect ourselves by avoiding others and isolating. But doing this actually makes it worse. The longer loneliness lasts, the harder it is to change. And then there is loss. Whenever there is a relationship, there is a potential loss. Every relationship ends one way or the other. Research shows that we lose half of our friends every 7 years. Losses interrupt life. They challenge our perceptions of who we are and of the world. They change our identities. We are no longer a partner or a parent or a child. They change the relationships we still have. What does it mean to have, well, what do we have to do to have better relationships? How do we become the right person? It requires doing some things and not doing others. When I was a teenager, my neighbor was fond of saying, you can't make soup, excuse me, let me get what she was saying. You can't make duck soup without a duck. That neighbor was pretty weird, okay? But she was right. You can't make duck soup without a duck. The first step to having a relationship is having a connection. I encourage everybody to talk to strangers. It seems weird. You know, when you grow up, your mom tells you don't talk to strangers. We need to talk to strangers. Even fleeting interactions like talking to the barista or cashier can make you feel happier and more connected. For most, this is a skill to be cultivated rather than something that comes naturally. We need both close friend connections and group connections. The close friends to share personal things, and the group to feel that you are part of something bigger. For group connections, think about what you like to do and find others who share this interest. Start with small goals, one new acquaintance. Accept being outside your comfort zone. Focus on your overall goal, I want more friends, rather than your discomfort, this is painful right now. Be proactive. Invite people to do something outside the group. In adulthood, friendships are not automatic. They take initiative and effort. Research shows, and more research, that it takes 40 to 60 hours of quality time for an acquaintance to become a casual friend, 80 to 100 hours of quality time to become a real friend, and over 200 hours of quality time to become a best friend. These are not small investments. Okay? It may be easier to reconnect with someone from the past, where a lot of the groundwork is already there. Join a regularly occurring group and go for at least 2 months in order to get over that awkward feeling at first. When you're a familiar face, people tend to like you more than they would a stranger. Start your own group. You could start one online, and then if you get enough members, meet face to face. Remember that social media can support but should not replace actual interactions. And to make friends, you have to be positive. Don't expect the worst. Okay? Once you start a connection, there are things to avoid doing. Please note that I have done all of these things that you're not supposed to do many times. And that's why the title of this is Being the Right Person Most of the Time. Okay? It's also why Jean Van Zandt suggested the title of my talk should actually be Why Sarah Deserves a Medal. Which she does. Okay? Mm-hmm. There are thousands of things to avoid. I'm only going to talk about the first 800. Ushers, lock the doors. Nobody leaves. Okay? The number one thing to avoid, if you want to stay together with your husband, don't serve him lentils. Don't serve lentils. All right, okay? Things to avoid: going too fast in the relationship, focusing on what you need, not on what they need. Being able to take the other person's perspective is so important in a relationship. I have told thousands of jokes where nobody laughed, even though I thought they were funny. You know, my perspective was they were funny. Other people may not have agreed. Got to take perspective, okay? You can't go too fast. You can't go too slow. You can't discourage the other people's interests and their relationships. You can't do something with the full knowledge that the other person dislikes it. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Escalating small arguments into big ones should be avoided. Criticizing their character, acting morally superior, denying responsibility, refusing to talk. These last four are the four main predictors of divorce, according to John Gottman. He calls them criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. When he sees that happening in a couple, he says within 5 years they'll be divorced. There are things you should do. One thing to do is include these other relationships in your daily life. A real relationship, not just for party time, not just for dinner, but part of your overall life. Recognize how you respond to their attempts to engage. Every relationship is built on what John Gottman calls bids. You make a bid for attention. You throw something out there, and then the other person responds. They can respond positively or negatively or neutrally. And then you make a response to that response. That's how relationships go, back and forth. If you always are negative to every bid, you're going to be very lonely, okay? You have to respond positively when people send out a bid for attention. Be honest. Secrets are poisonous. Be open about your goals and plans and values. Talk about deeper issues. Support them through the inevitable hard times, including when you have conflict with that other person. Challenge each other to grow. Show genuine interest and curiosity about the other person. Ask, is there anything that you need from me today? That is such an important question. Is there anything you need? It indicates that you care about them, you want them to feel good, and that you're willing to help. Say, you know what I love about you? And then name specific qualities. Every relationship goes from being connected to being disconnected, on and off, over and over. Talk about the times this week when you felt most connected and when you felt disconnected. Genuinely want the other person to be happy and healthy. You will both mess up and disappoint the other. When you do, make efforts to repair the damage. Apologize, forgive, let go. Show humility. Humility is the #1 cure for relationship problems. Every time I have not been the right person, it was when I forgot my humility. So, why are we talking about this here? Why aren't we at a marriage therapy conference or something like that, okay? It's because what I learned from Reverend Rhett Baird. Rhett was the minister here from 1995 to 2005. He was the right person, and he is one of my heroes. His focus was always and continues to be on helping people connect. Please take out your hymnals. And turn to reading number 580. It's called The Task of the Religious Community, written by Mark Morrison Reed. These are, according to Rhett, the most important words in this entire book. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen. and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. We need each other because none of us can do it alone. We need each other to see what must be done and to have the strength to do it. We need our connections and our relationships. Relationships are the core of what we do here. Final slide. Look at these two. They did not have a clue. They had no idea what was going to happen to them, good and the bad. They did not know how they were going to change, how they were going to hurt, how they were going to heal. They did not know how having children and careers and finding this place would make them different people. They were willing to take the risk, to become vulnerable, to face their fears, and to experience discomfort and joy. None of you here has a clue about what's going to happen to you, where your relationships will take you, how being part of this group will change you. It took courage and a willingness to be vulnerable that led you to walk through those doors. I hope that what you find here, the relationships you form, can provide a benefit, and that together we can commit to being the right people. Thank you.
Wow, I always love it when Marty speaks. That felt like a charge, and now we get to say yes. Everybody stand as you're able. It's hymn number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. Thank you. Please be seated.
As we extinguish the chalice, let's again think of the words as we read them together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts, until we are together again. Thank you.
Marty, that was so good. That was so good. We are a fellowship of action and activities. Upcoming events and activities may be found in the weekly email that Fawn lovingly compiles and sends out on Wednesdays. And if you want more information on how to get on that or anything like that, just let us know. We would love to get you there. Now, as far as announcements this week, Web of Life is having an awesome summer solstice ritual on June 18th. That's Father's Day, and it's going to be great. We have a rehearsal next week for that, right? Yeah. Okay, and also Pride. We are going to Pride it up the weekend of, Pride it up, the weekend of Pride. We still haven't gotten our order yet for the parade, but I'm sure that will come probably this week, and then we will put it out in the email and let you all know when to come and line up and do all the fun Pride things. Okay, this was a great service. Let's have some closing words from Marty.
This is from a book called Articulations. It's a book of readings on love, friendship, and healing. For those of you who love deeply, it can be perplexing when others turn away. But not everyone is ready to keep their heart gate open to other humans. Not everyone can handle the vulnerabilities and the risks. Some prefer substitute forms of love to the real thing. Perhaps they find it safer to channel their love toward a theoretical God that can never really hurt them, to a pet that will love them unconditionally, to a job that will gratify them economically. There are so many substitute gratifications on this planet, most of them covering over our deep longing to connect to each other. If you are one who is truly ready to love, better to attach to those who can meet you there. There is the love-lit world of genuine vulnerability and the love-starved world of seeming security. Pick your path.
Brenda.